Well, welcome to the Justice Even Show. We're doing a little bit of public network hijinks today. I'm joined by Andrew Elster and Markel Samuel. Is it Samuel or Samuels? It's just Samuel, right?
There's no S at the end.
Singular. There's one of you. Well, I'm glad to be joined by both of you from the Palmetto Privacy Project. That's palmettoprivacy.com. Go check it out if you want to have a free and safe internet. Andrew, I'll let you take it away. What are we doing here today?
All right, so we are going to set the stage today for a series of exploits or attacks that could happen on a public network. Mainly man in the middle is kind of the family of attacks. We're going to start today. We're just going to demonstrate how you initiate a man in the middle and use that to deny service to someone at the coffee shop. So you're at the coffee shop, the attacker's at the coffee shop, and he can prevent you from doing anything on the internet, just to kill your connection, basically.
Okay. And we have a victim machine and an attacker machine. Y'all are on a shared Wi-Fi. You're actually on a literally public Wi-Fi.
We are on public Wi-Fi.
Very cool.
So we've got Markel's going to be driving the attack machine here, and I will be driving the victim machine.
Okay.
Little MacBook Pro, and we'll probably also share some screens and whatnot of various tools that we're going to use to pull this off. But yeah, the idea this is gonna set the stage for later, more elaborate attacks.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So do you want to start by kind of sharing the attacker screen and showing the audience what the attacker, what's going through the attacker's kind of machine as they get this started? Man, you guys are in a pretty cool space, it seems like. Is it a WeWork or?
No. It's definitely not affiliated with WeWork. It is its own thing. It's co-working in a place called Atlas Local. Giving them a little plug. They're in Greenville, South Carolina. Pretty sweet place to work. Okay, so I think we're going to start with let's maybe do some Nmap scans and just kind of see what's on the network.
First of all, I don't know what an Nmap scan is. What is an Nmap scan?
Okay, so an Nmap scan, usually whenever you're trying to see, whenever not only an attacker, but sometimes just people within the field, whenever you're doing work on a network, you want to scan some of the equipment on that network by the IP address to see if there are any vulnerabilities. So yeah, that's kind of the premise of what Nmap can do, but it can do a lot more than that. That's the basics though of kind of what Nmap is.
And I can follow along on my home network, I imagine.
I'm sorry, did you say Justice?
I can follow along on my home network and kind of do some of the stuff that you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, I guess we should go ahead and get started. Why not? What's the IP of the victim machine?
Well, I'm thinking we probably do a scan and maybe see what hosts are on the network.
Okay.
I mean, I do know because I have the computer in front of me what the IP is, but it might be useful to see how discovery takes place.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And if I don't already have Nmap, I guess I can download it from Brew, it looks like.
Right, so if you have, I think they have now imported it to Windows as well. So there's a GUI for, there's an app for Windows for Nmap as well. But if you have Linux, if you have Kali Linux, then it comes pre-built. But if you have any other Linux distribution, you will have to go in and just install it. So yeah, and then once you do that, obviously here it shows all the different protocols and stuff that it can do. But from here, the commands themselves, like for example, let's see here, Nmap. You want to try the discovery?
Yeah, so and if you look at the help page, there's a section there on host discovery.
Okay.
It tells you the different kinds of scans you can use to detect the hosts that are on the network.
Oh, you're talking about right here? Yes. This part right here. So yeah, as you can see, this is the different types of things you can do in host discovery. So, what's an IP you want me to run? Or
did you want to do that Nmap SL to list?
10.0.1.
Where are you seeing 10.0.1?
That's the
host.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 10.0.1 and then 0/24 or something.
Oh, you got to do sudo, right?
Always got to be sudo.
Yeah. Ooh.
You also have to know your sudo password.
All right. So this is the scan we're trying to run right here on the actual host. And this is going to take a second. You actually can speed it up. I can go into that next, but you actually can speed the scan up with some controls. But with the SNL input, we are trying to ping this, disable the port scan, because that's what we're doing with the SL.
What does it mean to disable port scan?
Well, you can use Nmap to actually see what ports are open on the network.
Okay.
It can, go through every host and see what's open. Is port 22 open? Is port 80 open?
Let's run that again, because I can just do a plain, plain scan. I'll run that one more time. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so this will show us what you're about to do. Will show us all the machines that have open ports on the network.
Yes, that's what it's supposed to do, but it's going to take a little minute because I didn't realize we were doing this.
Also, can like, if I'm really nice, like what does it mean to have an open port? Does my computer just come with ports open? Do I need to create vulnerabilities? Like what does this mean?
Probably does. So you've heard of a thing called a firewall, right?
Yep.
Anytime there is communication on a network, that you're sending a packet of information, and that packet of information needs to go to a particular address, and in that address it needs to go to a particular interface, and then it needs to actually be received on a port. Ports are, anytime you have a software, like if you have a web server, you can open up that web server on any port, but it's commonly open on port 80 on public internet. But when you're building a local web app, sometimes you're serving it on 8080 or port 3000 or whatever. The port itself is kind of arbitrary, but that is what you're saying. At the operating system level, here's a number, and when information comes in addressed to that port, it's going to be connected to the program that's interested in that thing.
So is localhost 3000, is that a port running on my computer that's open to the world?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
But so you run it, and it's open to the world. Now, and that's where the firewall comes in, because a firewall can apply different rules and filtering to what external traffic is able to actually reach on the other side of the firewall. So if you've got a firewall on your computer running, it may say nobody can reach anything, and so the outside world cannot actually reach port 3000 on your machine, because you have a firewall that's set up to block it, even though you've got that port open locally.
Got it. Okay. And so in this case right now, what Nmap is doing, Nmap is saying, hey, for this IP address on this network, just try every possible port and see what you get back. Is that what's happening right now?
It's running through the, do you see where I put the /2224 right here?
Mm-hmm.
It's running through all of those possible IPs. So essentially, but we're doing host discovery right now. I have a question, Andrew.
Yeah.
So for this one right here, did you want me to scan anything in particular, or did you want me to scan for the IPs in this range?
Yeah. Well, so actually, it would be in this range. We know the victim machine is 154.
Okay. All right. So I think that's where I'm messing it up. It's right there. Okay.
wonder if people in your co-working space are going to hear you talking about victim machines and be like, these guys need
It's all
to
right.
be
All right. This is our own
swatted.
computer. That is the sacrificial lamb. Okay. So
and what is this T4 flag doing?
Okay, so the T4 flag. So whenever you're running an Nmap scan, there are 4 tiers as far as speed goes. There's T1, which is normal. You don't even have to put in T1. That's just the normal speed that it'll run at. There's T2, which is a medium speed. There's Tier 3, which is a slightly faster than medium speed. And T4 is like a all overload, like let's get this scan done as quickly as we can do it. It really isn't as far as speed, but I think it's more about computing power. As far as like if you were to actually pull up your processes on the computer to see what's taking up the most amount of speed right now, it would be the Nmap scan. So that's all that means: scan it as fast as you can.
Got it. And so when you ran Nmap 10.0.1.154 at T4 speed, what you got back there are 3 ports, 2 of which are open, 1 is filtered. What does this mean?
Okay, so the Kerberos port is open, and the Kerberos port itself, port 88, hackers can do something called Kerberosing. And kind of what that looks like is through that port they can hijack it, and I'm gonna make sure that I get this correct. Okay. Give me 1 second.
And also, I'm a little bit we knew when this 10.0.1.154, this is a known IP of what exactly?
The victim machine.
Okay.
So that's we've got 154. We were trying to do the discovery to see. I'm assuming you were trying to see as many open ports on the network as you could.
Yeah, just seeing what other systems are out there. And,
it was taking a while, so that's why I went ahead and just did the victim machine.
Got it. Okay, but you can do kind of an open, and is that what the Nmap 10.0.1.0/24 was? It was to try. Say you mentioned a minute ago what the /24 is, but I didn't quite understand how it was actually operating.
So the /24 is a range of IPs within the network. So instead of me trying to Nmap scan just the victim machines, it would set out about a range of different IPs. In that sense, it would be 10.1.1.1/24, and 24 will run through the many possible options on the network.
So is it saying from 0 to 24, or is that?
That's what it is.
Okay.
Put in a ranging instead of putting an actual dash. It's just a backslash.
Got it. Okay. And so we knew the victim machine, so we ran and you're seeing that there are 3 open ports on the victim machine, and you were going a little bit into how we can exploit in particular port 88.
Yes. So port 88 is the Kerberos port, and I wanted to make sure that I had this right. And yes, so it is a network authentication protocol, and it's like on the basis of like tickets and nodes that are communicated over a network. So what that kind of looks like is a lot of attackers, what they do is if they saw that port in particular was open, they can do something called Kerberosing. And what that be was they brute force the amount of tickets until they can actually get an effective method to authenticate as the user. And that's the basis of it, but it's more complicated than that.
Kerberosing.
Kerberosing is the name of an attack that can be ran, and it can backtrack the ticket. Because every time that your device is requesting an authentication ticket, it goes to something called a key distribution center, and that gives it a ticket for you to actually enter in through the database server. So What someone would do is they eventually, what an attacker would do is they go into that, they brute force it to get the member service or the database that they're trying to log into. It will get authentication that way, and that's called curve roasting. So that's how that port can be exploited. And then these other two ports, port 445 and port 139 are open as well. And this one's filtered. I'm sorry, port 139 is filtered.
What does that mean when it says it's filtered?
So it's closed with access. So it's closed right now. Like it's theoretically closed, but you can authenticate to get it open again instead of being this closed port, if that makes sense.
Sure. And then you've got the Microsoft DS 445 port here too. And I guess if I'm a hacker or just getting started as a hacker, I'm just Googling this stuff to be like, well, okay, what is a Microsoft -SF port? Or sorry, DS port. Which is exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Get name given to port 445, used by server message block for sharing resources on Windows networks. Can be used to remotely execute commands.
Yes.
So did you intentionally, Andrew, open up some of these ports on this victim machine so that we would have this available, or is this like are these like real vulnerabilities?
This actually was open off the
Oh my gosh, really?
freshly set up Mac.
So now that I know all this, I could is there like, because we're not on the same network, this only works on that because you are both on this this router, right? At the coworker.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't take advantage of this information from where I am, unfortunately.
No, at a micro level, no, you couldn't.
Okay.
You can, but at a micro level, no. There's a way, though. There's ways to do everything. Like if you were to be able to remotely access one of the PCs in here, you can do it. That's possible. If that port's open.
So where there's a will, there's a way, sort of thing. Okay, this is fascinating. I'm already very interested. I'm currently installing Nmap. Actually, just finished, and so now I've got the man page here. That's very cool. And so if I just run Nmap with no flags, it's going to start scanning every single port available on my Wi-Fi network. Is that right?
So you'd actually have to put a target in, whether that be a range like how we have here with /24, or if you had, and that's that's post update. Before the update, you could do that, but not anymore. Now you have to have an actual target IP, whether that be a range or a specific IP on your network. Yeah. If you just type in Nmap, it'd give you a man page. Not a man page, but a help page.
I'm trying to remember. What's the command to get my like current IP address? It's not ipconfig. It's
it's ifconfig.
Ifconfig. That's it. Thanks.
My
dad is like a network guy, so he like knows all this stuff by heart, and I think he's just deeply ashamed that all I was able to do is just become your run of the mill programmer. Yeah. So ifconfig, I get a bunch of stuff here. It's the EN1, or is it EN0? I'm supposed to use as my, I see an iNet.
Hey, Justice.
Yeah?
I wanted to add one more thing about the previous scan that we ran.
Oh, please do.
So this, you see the port 445 right here that I'm highlighting? So that port in particular, with almost any basic firewall, if we were able to put a firewall on this, it would disable that port. And keep in mind, this is also a Mac machine, but with any basic firewall,
actually, let's
try it. Sure.
So on the victim machine, if I go to,
it should be.
Where's the
privacy?
There we go. Privacy and security. Okay. Firewall is off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to turn the firewall on. Okay, firewall is now on.
Yes, and that's a server message block. That's what 445 is. Justice, I think you said that earlier. But yeah, all right, so let's try to run the scan now and see if it works.
Because you just turned off the firewall, so now more ports should be exposed.
But we'll see what it does by default.
We actually enabled the firewall.
Oh, you enabled the firewall.
Yeah,
okay.
by default it was off. So I went and turned it on.
Got it.
It'll let you block all incoming connections.
Apparently, it only picked up that one. Hold on. Let's go back. That's weird.
Yeah, like on my end, when I just scan my current IP, all I'm getting is an SSH port and a 4,000 remote anything service, which is kind of sketchy. Also, I don't know if I should be disclosing this. I feel like I'm probably exposing something just by talking about it.
I'd like to fire up Wireshark.
Oh yeah, show us. Okay, so a little bit of explanation here is probably warranted. First of all, what is Wireshark? What are we looking at here?
Yeah. Wireshark is a tool for analyzing network traffic.
Okay.
Sometimes it's called packet sniffing. All this information is going across the network. Most of the time, your network interface is configured to ignore anything that's not intended for it. But you can, like with programs like Wireshark, turn it into on monitoring mode, in which case you'll just see all the network traffic that's passing through the interface. And Wireshark captures that. And you can save that to a file or watch what's happening in real time. But basically what you're doing is you're just looking at network traffic.
And what we're doing now is, because we're live streaming, there's a ton of network traffic involved with the live streaming. And so you're able to filter out, it looks like, right? Are you filtering out right now everything that is not from that particular IP address? Or can you talk us through some of the filtering behavior that Wireshark offers?
Right. So by me putting in IP adder and then the victim's IP address, I'm filtering out everything that's not getting sent to my physical computer, like any packets that aren't getting sent to my computer that aren't coming from this IP address. So this would be, see here, Susan Doyle's MacBook Pro.
That's the victim machine.
Yes.
We named the victim Susan
Which
Doyle.
is actually the victim machine. Okay, which is actually, it's the victim machine, which is right now Andrew, your computer, right?
Correct. Yeah, this one right
here. Okay. Right. Okay. So now if you do something on the network, we should see those packets go through.
Well, actually, so this is an important thing.
I'm getting some feedback from you.
You're seeing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you'll see some activity, but it's kind of limited what you can see.
I'm seeing registrations, name queries. And is that because you still have the firewall on that you're only going to see?
No, the firewall off. Mm-hmm. But at this moment in time, you're not going to see all of the traffic from the victim machine.
Yeah.
So really, this is why we're going to launch a man-in-the-middle attack. Because what we want to do is tell the victim machine that the attack machine is the router and to send all traffic through the attack machine. And you'll see a notable difference in the packet capture once we do that.
Absolutely.
However, you don't currently have BetterCap on. Is that
BetterCap? I have it on this laptop, yes, but I have not turned it on yet.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
Sorry, what is this called?
Okay, so we're going to use a program called Better Cap, which is a better EtherCap.
Better. What's the cat?
Cap. CAP. So better.
Oh, Better Cap.
BERCAP. Better Cap, like better capture.
Oh, okay. Okay. And this is what, like an extension or plugin or something for Wireshark, so you can capture the packets.
This is actually a separate utility. Also for network analysis and troubleshooting, but it's a good way to test out these kinds of these exploits or these attacks. It essentially lets you do network manipulation, which is useful if you're doing penetration testing or testing to make sure that you've got adequate defenses for different things. But you got to be aware of the fact that people have access to these tools, and if they're on public coffee shop network, you could be vulnerable to these types of attacks.
They're all free.
Got it.
Yes, free tools.
All this stuff is free. Yeah,
It's
you
all
can go
free.
check out any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Try it for yourself.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to show us now Better Cap. Is it like a GUI?
We're going to do so. This is what we're going to show. We're gonna run Better Cap on the attack machine. On the victim machine, I'm just going to search the internet for cats and look for some cat images. But once we've launched the man-in-the-middle attack and we kill the traffic, I'll show that the victim is unable to search for cat images because the traffic is killed. And then we'll also look at the packet capture, and we'll see how all the packets are now coming to the attacker. All the traffic. So right now you see like little bits of traffic that's public and broadcastable. But once we launch the... Okay. Now this particular attack... Is it working? Yes. Okay. This is called ARP poisoning. This is kind of the first step towards being man in the middle.
ARP. A-R-P.
ARP, which stands for Address Resolution Protocol. Which is also something we could show on Wireshark. Actually, we could show what an ARP request looks like, but essentially devices on the network are saying, hey, this is my IP, and what's the gateway IP? It's informing everybody. All the devices on the network are informing all the other devices, like which IPs map to where. The router caches that and keeps that information handy. What ARP poisoning it does is we are going to send out a blast of false ARP requests saying, hey, victim machine, the router is actually our attack machine's MAC address and IP. So the victim will then start sending traffic that way.
The new instructions encourage you to use a Docker container, and then, but the problem is
I just compiled it from the Go sources.
Okay, you did.
Built in Go.
Okay, I think I'm going to do that because I don't understand how to use this while running it in a Docker container.
Yeah, I'm locked up.
All right, we'll switch. I'll switch over here. I'm going to share. Should I share a window? Oh, I can't share from another desktop. Okay. Let's do this then. There we go. I'm going to share Better Kit. Is there an okay? How do you? Okay. So this is the web interface to BetterCap. And it has all kinds of different plugins and things you can run. But essentially, you can go over to the LAN tab and kind of like Nmap scan everything. And you can see, wow, look at all these computers on this now.
They even show switches on it. See, look, go back down. They even got Ubiquity and Nest Live. And all that stuff.
Yeah. You can see all that kind of stuff. Anyway, you select who the victims are going to be, which I've already.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited right now.
It should be illegal to show. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. Well, we're going to do some really crazy things in a future episode. So please come back, subscribe. Anyway, I've added to the ARP spoof targets the victim machine.
Which?
So when I turn this on, and I've got ARP ban on, this is going to direct all of the victim's traffic to my machine, but it's not going to.
What is so? What's the issue that we're getting? You're on
the ARP poisoning is not working, as far as I can tell. So the victim machine is still sending us traffic to the router.
Is it like normal traffic? Like it's not doing anything, or is it sporadic? Like, because it looks like this is the attacking machine that I'm looking at right now on the screen, right? And so is it saying right now that it's able to send? I mean, this just seems like.
So Wireshark is getting a lot of traffic from the victim machine. Yep. So you know how before we could see some things that were being publicly broadcasted, but there was a lot of stuff that we weren't necessarily seeing. Now we're seeing a lot. And here's what's interesting is you'll notice the destination. Now you wouldn't know this, but I happen to know that is the MAC address of my interface. It's like all of these packets are coming to my machine. What I was wanting to do, though, was to block these packets from reaching the actual router, which would prevent the victim from being able to do anything. But as far as I can tell, that part is not working because the internet is still.
Is it possible that this network has got certain protections in place to not allow? Oh,
I just did get it.
It's working out. Sometimes it takes a while for the ARP because we have to flood the router and the victim machine with these packets. So
yeah,
you can see here. Well, no, it's back up and running.
I saw a bunch of things going through the Wireshark, and then as soon as you started showing me, it stopped, and now it's stopped again.
That's right.
Of course it did.
Yeah, it went through, but sometimes it'll like delay, and then Safari will give you an error, like, oh, we can't reach the network.
I guess what I'm learning is that like being a black hat is actually really hard.
It is.
Like there are no guarantees. You're accepting. Have you ever seen Heat? You guys ever seen the movie Heat?
No.
Well, it's a great heist movie. It's probably the great heist movie. And in the movie you get you see the bad guys and the good guys, the cops that are chasing the thieves. And at one point, Pacino meets with De Niro, and Pacino's the cop and De Niro's the thief. And he says something like, you just got to make one mistake, man. Like one error. If you mess up one time, I'm going to catch you and you're done. Right. Versus, so like that's what the life of the black hat is like, look, half the time stuff doesn't even work. Even if it does work, if you get caught, you're done.
Right.
You're in federal prison for life. But meanwhile, it also means that for the really smart guy who does get away with it, like I mean, they're getting away with everything that you've got on your machine, like everything, right? These people are very good. So they're my point is that the guy that actually succeeds in getting you is a lot smarter than you, probably. Like a lot smarter than me. Let me put it that way. Yeah, the professional black hat is much smarter than Justice. I'll put it that way. All right. Well, we kind of have to wrap it up here. Yeah. Final words.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the next time we run this, we're gonna run it on our own local network. Like we'll set up our own router. It'll be carefully controlled scenario. But this is kind of what you're dealing with, right? If you're on a public network, you can kind of sniff around. You can see what's there. You can kind of play around with stuff. If you really know what you're doing, you can wreak some havoc.
Yes. And I feel like the moral of this story would be VPNs are a lot more beneficial than we may even think they are. Just because even as you saw in the Nmap scan, it filtered a lot more ports than without the VPN. So yeah.